Ladies and gentlemen, this is Victor DAFFRECE, and you're watching Face to Face Podcast. It is season 2. Now, albinism is one of conditions in this country that is highly sensitive. And of course, it has got a lot of misconceptions attached to it. And with me in this episode to demystify all those misconceptions is Maynard Zakaria, who is National Coordinator for the Association of People with Albinism, APAM. Maynard, welcome to Face Podcast.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Chambari chikondi chili m'manja.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so Maynard, many people know you as the national coordinator for APAM, like I have rightly introduced you
Yes.
on the show. But beyond the advocacy and public role, who is Maynard Zakaria?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Maynard Zakaria is a man who is around 42 years, born in 1983. My original home is in Cheo. I'm married with 3 kids. Apart from advocacy work, I also work with the Malawi government. I'm a civil servant under the Minister of Health. And I'm working with Kamusento Hospital as Human Resource Management Officer. Yes.
Now, as you have just mentioned that you're also an HRM within the system of government. So I wanted to understand this dynamic. Now, wearing these two hats as a rights advocate as well as a civil servant, how do you balance these two roles?
Yeah, it's a very good question. You know, as an association, we are many of us, and we have 3 governing structures. We have a board of trustees, which is the who are the owners of the association, and we have the National Executive Council, who drives the policy, and we have the secretariat, which I'm heading, which is involved in the running of the day-to-day activities of the association. But because of other issues, I decided to volunteer to help run the office of the secretariat, simply because we have not been able to employ permanent people who do, be full-time at the secretariat because of issues of resources. And being an HR person, my supervisors or my employer knows that I'm also in advocacy. And when there are issues, they always allow me to go and attend to those issues, because they know that I'm also complementing government efforts, because we should be mindful that persons with albinism are also Malawians, and they are also supposed to be served by government in general. So asking me how I balance, it's not a very big deal, because I always, allocate my time accordingly.
So I'm just learning now that the position that you're holding at APAM is sort of you're working as a volunteer, right?
Yes.
I was of the opinion that perhaps that's a job, let's say a part-time job. So you are telling the people that people that are serving at APAM within that structure of APAM, within the hierarchy of APAM, are working for free.
The National Executive Council, they are not getting any salary. They are working for free. But at the secretariat, they are entitled to, some salary at the end of the month. But because at APAM we have a policy where the head of secretariat is supposed to be a person with albinism.
Yes.
And we also look at the, capacity. So because we have not been able to hire somebody who is more capable and a person with albinism because of issues of resources. That's why, because maybe you also need to know that apart from me being the national coordinator, I'm the general secretary of the association. So it was easier for colleagues to say, you being a general secretary, you can also help us to supervise at the secretariat. So my role at the secretariat mostly is to supervise those that are working at the secretariat, giving them guidance and other things. Yep.
Still going back to my preamble, I did mention that the condition of people with albinism in this country is a sensitive topic, and despite the sensitivity around issues to do with albinism or albinism related issues here in Malawi, I wanted to clearly understand how do you balance your role as someone that is serving the government, at the same time you're working as an advocate, and we know advocacy involves holding people that are in authority accountable. How do you manage to work around to navigate that dynamic?
Yeah, you are very right that sometimes pachiyamati mwina nthawi zina umapezeka kuti you seem to kuluma chala chimene chikukombera phala kapena chikudyetsa. Koma as I've always said, I really balance, and most of these issues, much as we are advocates, it's not advocacy is not about maybe being emotional and other things. And the issues of albinism, they are also part and parcel of programs, government programs. For example, we fall under the Ministry of Gender. Okay, so we also constantly interact with officers under Ministry of Gender and other ministries. So it's not a big deal. It's not that we are always confrontational, but when things have happened, because they always affect the general public, we have to say it, and we always say it, and even the authorities know that this time around, this Maynard is now putting on a albinism hat, not an HR hat in government.
Now, when you deeply reflect on your journey serving APAM as well as serving Malawi government, would you recall any instances where you felt conflicted in executing your role? Perhaps there was a certain case or there was a certain incident that happened, and you had to hold certain individuals or a certain instrument of government accountable, and then you felt conflicted in the course of doing that. Would you mind sharing with us if any of those instances ever happened?
I don't remember any. Maybe because of my role as HR, it's not that. But maybe I can just share one instant that even encouraged me. I remember I attended promotional interviews, and then I was posted to Mangochi District Council after the promotions, and some top government officials had to intervene to say, I think it's not proper that you deploy him to Mangochi, because it might make people feel that we are deliberately deploying him to Mangochi to silence him, and maybe because of the weather and other things in Mangochi, Mangochi is too hot. Maybe it might not be a very good place for him to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that also incident encouraged me, and it gave me, the energy to say maybe government does also appreciate the roles that we play when we are trying to advocate for the rights of persons with albinism. But specifically to say something happened because maybe people are not comfortable that I'm working with the government and then I'm also an advocate. I need to be honest. I have not experienced such scenario in my life. Yeah.
So we take a little bit of a diversion from talking about your role at APAM. I want to focus on you as Maynard, a civil servant. You know, issues to do with disabilities in this country or elsewhere in the world face stigma, discrimination. I want you to bring this perspective on this podcast and tell people and give people a full picture. How is your working relationship like with the people that are your seniors, with the people that are your subordinates at work? All right, at HRM, it's a critical role at any organization, be it in public or private sector. I wanted you to bring it to perspective. Haven't you had instances whereby you felt like perhaps the stuff that I'm overseeing showcasing some bit of insubordination? Would you mind telling us any of those instances?
It's a very good question, but I think I will answer it in sometimes it depends on the role you're playing. Okay.
Yes.
It depends on the role you're playing. As a human resource management officer, you do understand that it's a key role in as far as an institution is concerned.
Absolutely.
Because you interact with a lot of people.
Yeah, there's disciplining of folks.
You see.
Yes. Yeah.
And my role, I oversee, I manage, payroll. I do payroll management.
Yes.
I do, discipline. I do recruitment and all those things. So, if you are to look at those roles, they are very key to development of people or welfare of people. Now, even if some people might not be happy with me, but they are forced to be happy with me and to cooperate. Why? Because I hold a particular responsibility on them. If they are to be recommended for promotions, what do they do? If they are to get correct salaries, what do? They still need to come on my desk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
much as maybe they might have one or two issues, but because of the importance of my roles in the organization, honestly, I could not specifically say this happened. For my supervisors, it all depends on performance. I've had a very good, I think I have a very good performance, because I remember I was employed in 2007, and I was with Minister of Agriculture. Thereafter a year, my director had to recommend that I go to upgrade because of the performance. And then after I upgraded, I was promoted and deployed to Nchisi District Council. But my supervisor had to say, no, I've developed this person myself. I know his capabilities. I wouldn't allow him to be deployed to Nchisi. I would rather continue working with him here. So I think it's all about how you perform. That would also make people see how useful you are. But when you are not doing quite well, it becomes a challenge, and people do really associate a lot of things with disability. But I would want to agree with you that sometimes being a person with disability, being a person with albinism, it might not be easy for you to have an environment that has no, hurdles.
That you mentioned your supervisors, I was critically listening to you. It really shows that there's a good working relationship between you and your line managers at the workplace. But still more, let us get back to your affiliation to APAM and also serving the government as a civil servant. Was there any point you were questioned or challenged or sadly discouraged at your workplace because of your advocacy? Like achimwene tu mukhangati mukuponda anthu mapazi, chepesani moto chepesani, inde mukupanga advocacy koma chepesani moto.
I'm failing to recall an incident, but you know, I'm working with Minister of Health,
Yeah.
and one key issue that affects persons with albinism is the issue of their health, maybe accessibility to issues such as sunscreen lotions, dermatology services, and other things.
Yes.
You know, I just remember one time when you know, after we talked something about you know, how persons with albinism are getting affected with skin cancer and other things. One official, Minister of Health, had to call me and he just said, yeah, we really understand that you are an advocate, but being somebody within, I think it's sometimes important that we sit around the table and discuss issues before you take them to the media. Yeah, so that was the incident that I can recall, but I had to respond to say it's not only Minister of Health which is responsible for, you know, making sure that persons with albinism have a healthy, you know, life. When we are talking about these things, we want considered efforts. You as Minister of Health will take a part. We have partners who are also supposed to, you know, take the play their role. We have also, you know, some, you know, non-government organizations that are also in health. So for me, talking to you, yes, that's fine, but we are also looking at those other people or stakeholders that have also a stake in health issues of persons with albinism.
Interesting. Ladies and gents, you're watching Face2Face Podcast. It's season 2. My name is Victor DAFFRECE, and today's guest is Maynard Zakaria, who is National Coordinator for APAM. Now, Maynard, I want you to unbox the whole idea why we have APAM in this country. What is APAM all about? Was it necessary for the country to have this particular board, and how necessary was it? It was necessary. That's a yes, I know. But I want you to critically unpack the whole essence of us as a country having a board as APAM.
Interesting question. Thank you for that question. Yeah, indeed. You know, APAM was formed in 1994. It's a very old organization, 1994. And why? Because we thought or we realized that the voice of persons with albinism is not being heard. There were a lot of things that were happening, but we didn't have a forum or an opportunity where we would voice out our issues. And even if you are to check even the roles in Malawi, even when they were talking about disability, they rarely mentioned albinism as part and a part of disability. So I think it was a situation where people didn't, you know, persons with disability, albinism, never knew where they belong. Do they belong to able-bodied people? Do they belong to persons with disabilities? So they are in no man's land. And because of that, a lot of, you know, interventions, they were not enjoying their rights. A lot of interventions were not being channeled to persons with, you know, albinism. And, you know, albinism as a condition, it sort of surprised many. It's not many people understand albinism. Because if you are to go around, you find out most of persons with albinism, the mother is black skinned, the father is black skinned, but the child there is a child with a white skin, white hair. So that really was coming as a shock to many people, even parents themselves, even siblings, brothers and sisters, because even in my family, we have sisters and brothers with black skin. We have brothers and sisters with, albinism. So I think this really motivated those that formed the association to say, why can't we, formulate this association so that we bring to light issues that are affecting persons with albinism, and also we help to raise awareness on what is albinism. Yeah.
So we will later delve deep into your experiences as a person living with albinism. But before we move a little further, I wanted people to understand your role as a national coordinator, like on a day-to-day basis. What does this role entail?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, as a national coordinator, as I've said, maybe I should bring back what I said previously, that the association is comprised of, governing, structures. We have the board of trustees. These are people with the various expertise that we think they can help us, on issues that mostly affect persons with albinism. They are more or less like legal owners of the association. And then we have the National Executive Council. These are persons with albinism that are elected by persons with albinism themselves to give direction and policy on how the association should be run. And we also have district executive committees in each and every district in Malawi. We have APAM committees who should be able, to now look at issues that are affecting them in those particular districts. So as a national coordinator, my role is now to bring these, structures together, to put things together, to develop proposals where we should get funding, make sure that warfare of persons with albinism is being, upheld. So whatever happens concerning persons with albinism, it's on my desk. It has to first come on my desk. If the government would want to meet us, they have to contact me, and then I will refer them to appropriate, offices. So as a coordinator, I play a central role in making sure that all the activities in the organization are well coordinated and well managed.
Let's focus on APAM on the ground. How does APAM as an organization support people that are living in rural areas where pretty much there's a lot of misinformation about this condition? How does your organization support people in such a geographical setup?
Yeah, that's true. You are very right that most of our members are in, very remote areas, and they are amongst the poorest population. And I think that is the reason why we knew that we should not concentrate on the national platform only. That's why we make sure that we have district committees so that these people should help us to reach out to these people who are in remote areas. And our role, one of my role is to build capacity of these leaders in the districts so that they are able, they better serve uh, uh, persons with albinism that are in rural areas. You are very right that we are talking about albinism and looking at those persons with albinism in urban setting. They are much, much better compared to those that are in rural areas. So much so that sometimes people say, Zakaria ino mugamati ndinolumala. What do you mean? You know, mwina mangofuna kujera anzanu masuku pamutu. Because they are trying to compare maybe those that are in town and those that are in rural areas. So you are very right. As an association, we make sure that we save those that are in rural areas. But I really need to admit that even in me as a national coordinator, I'm not even satisfied with how we are saving colleagues in the rural areas. They are really in terrible, situation, terrible conditions that we really need to do something about improving their welfare.
Now, branching off from the sentiments that you have just made concerning your dissatisfaction as regards to APAM's failure to meet some areas within your mandate, I have always wanted to ask you what gaps does APAM continue to see in protection, education, and access to basic services for people with albinism? What are those gaps? What are those loopholes that are still there that need to be fixed?
Yeah, thank you so much. You're really asking very important questions.
Yes.
I think when I've said I'm not very much satisfied, it is because most of the people see APAM as a service provider. But APAM isn't a service provider. APAM is just there to advocate for the rights of persons with albinism, to make sure that those duty bearers, those service providers, when they are providing these several, services to the general population, they also don't forget persons with albinism. Now, in terms of gaps, there are still a lot of gaps that are there. One, I think the gap is what I've just said. One gap is that people think that persons with albinism, they have their own, structures, they have their own funding, so they need to tap resources or services from APAM, which is not right. Service providers must know that whenever whether they are dealing with women, they should understand that they are also women with albinism. Whether they are dealing with children, they should understand that they are also children with, albinism. So that's one gap where people think that persons with albinism have their own, forums or structures that they can, get assisted from. And the other biggest gap is on, understanding albinism. I would really want to assure you or to challenge you that, as you rightly said when you were introducing the program, that albinism is a sensitive, maybe concept. It's not easily understood. Even professors, even doctors, those that people that we respect in society have a lot of knowledge gap on issues of albinism. So that's also a very big gap, because if people don't understand what albinism is, what does it mean, what does it take for a person with albinism to be, happy and to be, provided with basic needs, then it is very difficult for these people to come up with interventions that would really satisfy persons with albinism and feel that they are also being served. So another biggest gap is understanding albinism. What is it? How does it come about? And all that thing. So this is a very big gap that is really affecting the enjoyment of persons with albinism, the rights and freedoms of persons with albinism.
Now, Maynard, we digress talking about APAM, talking about your role as a civil servant. Now, let's go up close and personal. I want you and I to have a very candid conversation, a conversation that will be relatable to a young man, a young woman with a brighter future that they are living with albinism that are watching us now. It's a very important part of our conversation. I want us to reflect on Maynard growing up in Malawi, in a society that has got a lot of misconceptions about the condition of albinism. Give us a picture, a full picture. What was it like growing up an albino?
Thank you so much. It was indeed not easy, but I also say that I'm one of the lucky persons with albinism. Why? Because, you know, I was born from a father who was a tutor. He was teaching at Blantyre Teachers Training College, and from my mom who was a primary school teacher. And in our family, we were born 7, and the first born was a person without albinism, and the second born was a person with albinism, the third born person with albinism, the fourth without albinism, I'm the fifth, and then we had the twins, one with albinism and another one without albinism. So I'm saying I'm lucky because being a teacher, obviously the environment was quite good because we were living in almost in urban areas where a lot of, you know, facilities were there. And him being a teacher, at least he was knowledgeable about issues of albinism. And also because I came last, you know, as I've said, he had already, you know, some experiences in how to handle other children with albinism. So he had enough experience because he had to raise the daughter with albinism, the brother with albinism before I was born. But having said this, it doesn't mean that I've always, the journey has been easy. It hasn't been easy because whenever you go to pray, children, your fellow children who don't understand why you're looking different. People would always mention, say a lot of, you know, names. They call you bad names. That time they used to say Napweri, those kind of, you know. So you are a child. You don't know whether you're, you know, whether you are different or not. But now these people, your friends, are now making you start understanding that you're different. You are at school. Your fellow kids would follow you to the toilet just to appreciate what kind of urine you pass. You know, you are in class. People will always, you know, be, you know, feeling your skin just to see if you're different. And you would also sometimes meet teachers who do not understand that you have, you know, poor sight. So providing special care to you was a bit of a challenge because maybe he or she is looking at a very big class. So maybe to give you special, you know, attention wasn't that easy. So yeah, it has not been easy, but we really managed. And to make things good for me, I had grown up with a brother who was very, very supportive, especially on issues of school. He would always, you know, help me with schoolwork when I've knocked, out of school.
Yeah.
So, it has not been easy, but I really need to mention that we have had a lot of people who have given us the support that we needed to be where we are.
Interesting, really. Another dimension of this conversation is me wanting to understand how you cope up with, the humor that kids, the slurs, there are a lot of humorous attacks. I'm calling them attack because you wouldn't be proud to be called something that you're not confident to be called.
Sure.
So I wanted to understand this from you. How did you cope up? I'll give you a number of examples how people embodied albinism and embraced their condition so that there shouldn't be any conflict with people. We had, for example, the case of the late Geoffrey Zigoma.
Yes.
To the point that he could proudly call himself Mzungu.
Yes.
I personally have got a friend of whom I can't mention his name here because he hasn't given me the consent, but I've worked with a friend, helped me in my journalism career, but he would proudly call himself Mzungu and we would call him Nzungu. I can't even call him right now Mzungu. So that's how he came up with, I don't know whether it was a coping mechanism. So I wanted to understand on your part because you were not always protected. You were not always around your brothers. You were not always around people that could understand what albinism meant. There were instances where you were vulnerable, where you were people that could misconstrue this idea of albinism. In that regard, how did you embrace the reality? What was the coping mechanism like?
Yeah, it was not easy. It was not easy, honestly. And you have rightly said that, it's not easy. But I would not only be around my brothers and whosoever knew me. And let me comment. I think issues of coping, people calling them Mzungu themselves Mzungu Nzungu.
They probably call themselves Yellow Man.
I have a friend in Nila and he's calling himself Orange Man.
Yeah.
Just because, but it's not because of anything else, but as you have rightly put it, to say it is a coping mechanism. And the one experience that we have had is, I've told you that we are a number of us in our family. It was not easy for us to move together. Once we moved together, it was, an issue. People, children or people would start singing songs around you, those kind of things. Parents sometimes using you to threaten their crying children to say, Agulumat, ukulida jan, when you're passing by. So as a coping mechanism, mostly, I resorted to most of the time staying home. I was not an outgoing person. I was mostly resorting, staying home, which also affected, some of my interactions with people. So most of the time from school, I'm home, whilst my other brother is going out, playing football, interacting with friends, but I would always be in my room, maybe doing school, not because I loved school that much, but because, I just needed to keep myself busy to avoid, going there out and get embarrassed with all sorts of names and other things.
So, Maynard, that was a very interesting description of the whole situation as was back in the day. Now, medinanena mucha kuti nkhani iyi anthu ambiri ibe samaimvesesa beti nzimayi pamodzi akabereka mwana wachi albino. There are a lot of stories. Ndi otembereredwa ameneyi, this and that, ameneyi mwina anaenda ndi wina wake. So mene walongosolera nkhani ya kunyumba kuoneka kuti you've got siblings that living with albinism enaso alibe albinism. Zikuoneka kuti muliko ndithu anthu angapo a condition imeneyoyo. Mene umakula so mamva kuti nkhani tinatake mobera kuti banja la amene ajawo mwina makulu anapanga china chake chenichani, ma misconception enake sunamveko okhuzana ndi banja la kunyumba.
Abana, nkhani ya ma misconceptions kapena zoyankhula zambirimbiri around albinism. Sindinganene kuti just because I grew up in that environment kunalibe. that is not even true. I would even tell you that when we were discussing, when I was chatting with my dad one day, and even my late mom, their marriage almost collapsed because of giving birth to my sister, who was second born, and with albinism. There were a lot of reactions from, especially from the father's side, to say, mwaonatu, mkazi amene mwena musiye, why are you continuing kukhala ndi mzimayi yotereyo? Ana awawa amabweretsa matsoka pamudzi. Okay, and nkutheka kuti there are a lot of things that people associate albinism with, as you have likely put it. Some believe that giving birth to a person with albinism, it's a curse, ndi wotembereredwa, kapena mwina unasika munthu wolumala, that's why you're giving birth to a person with albinism. And they go as far as saying, nkuteka kunena kuti ndiye kuti nthawi imene mwana wa albinism amabadwa, ndiye kuti makolowa anakhala malo amodzi, mzimayi ali akusamba. That's what people believe in. People believe that a person with albinism, once you sleep with a person with albinism and you are HIV positive, you get cured to that disease. And hakukhulupirira bezinthu ngati zimenezi. So there are a lot of myths that surround persons with albinism. People think, well, because you've married a person with albinism, then obviously anakonse akhala albinism. People do think kuti a person with albinism could ndi munthu onena kuti basi skin yake imangokhalira mabala, so mufuna mutibweretsera Lazaro pamudzi pano, those kind of things. So there are so many myths that are associated with persons with albinism. No wonder we talk about issues of attacks in the country. People believe that once they have used a body part of a person with albinism, then they might win elections, maybe they might boost their businesses. So these issues, if you are to critically look at them, it's all about myths that are not founded concerning persons with albinism. So it's not easy to grow up in Malawi. And if I'm to tell you the truth, you'll find that most persons with albinism, especially women with albinism, are not married. Okay, at least men. But if you are to do your research, you'll find that most women with albinism are not married. They are not married. Why? Because people believe that they cannot, do the responsibilities that are required of a woman. They cannot, do household chores. They will not give birth to children that will not, will disturb the clan whatsoever. So it's something that is really, really affecting persons with albinism. This myth is a big issue on persons with albinism.
Now, lastly, on discussing you as a person living with albinism, I wanted to personalize these myths. I want to, I want you to give us a full picture, perspective, if at all you ever encountered people trying to, experiment all these myths regarding albinism. You did mention about people that are living with HIV having this myth that if you sleep with a person with albinism, you get cured. Okay, and there's also another myth that some business people believe that if you met with a person living with albinism, then your business will perform Well, individually, have you ever had such instances whereby, women are trying to find like in business, and a person living with HIV perhaps hoodwinking you into doing something with them to their advantage? Have you ever had such instances?
I cannot precisely say yes or no to this question because, somebody cannot, I've never met somebody who directly told me that I'm HIV positive, and then what about if
Yeah.
you sleep with me? But I've had advances of women, interested in me, not in terms of being in a relationship, but just maybe sleeping with them. So I couldn't conclude to say, is it because of this myth, or is it just a mere interest? But as my role as a national coordinator, as well as a national a general secretary, I've interacted with people who would really tell me that they have really experienced that kind of, encounter where people would come and offer them money to say, um, you sleep with me, this is the money, but they are aware of their, HIV status. And I've also, encountered a colleague, a person with albinism, a man telling me that I'm making a lot of money because, women are approaching me to sleep with them so that they get, healed to HIV/AIDS. And I've encountered even persons with albinism themselves saying that there's no way we can catch HIV/AIDS. For us, our body is immune, and we cannot get HIV/AIDS. But I can tell you that we have even lost a lot of persons with albinism because of HIV/AIDS. So I just want to bring a perspective how these myths are negatively affecting persons with albinism. So it's something that we need to be conscious about and be concerned because they are really negatively affecting us.
So, Maynard, with a lot of stigma and discrimination attached to the condition of albinism, what kind of emotional or educational or social support do children living with albinism early need early on to grow into confident, responsible citizen, just like you are? You're very confident. You are contributing to this country as a civil servant. To the young person living with albinism, what do you think they need in that regard to have that confidence boost?
Yeah. It's a very important question. We should bear in mind that we are growing up in a very different, environment, and most of our members are in rural areas. Okay, and most persons with albinism are born from parents who are not knowledgeable on these issues. So the most important thing is we should, make parents understand, okay, albinism. Because if they don't understand albinism, then they will not be able to properly handle these children, okay? Because, the confidence and other things have to come from the parents to the child. So that is one key issue that we need really to focus on. Caregivers and parents should be our first contact in making sure that we help children with albinism to be as confident, as empowered as possible. And the other issue is that we need to also use a lot of role models so that these parents or these children with albinism should have people they can look up to, so that they have the ambitions, they know that they can make it, or they can do it, if they are aware that Ian Simbota was a radio personality,
Absolutely.
and then they will know that we will be capable. If they are aware that we have Vasco Hamid, who is now a traffic police officer, and they see him in police uniform, that will boost their confidence. If they are aware that we have had the Overstone Kondowe Honorable, who is a member of parliament, I think that will really boost their confidence. If they know, they see young Muhamba as a professional pharmacist, they will know that we have people who can they can look up to. So I think we as persons with albinism who have achieved in life, the Boniface Masters, who is a commissioner, Malawi Human Rights Commission, should help these kids in terms of building their confidence. I think that's the only way that we can make sure that our children with albinism have the confidence. And the other issue is, let us make sure that these parents who are raising children with albinism are empowered. They need to be empowered. Then we need to come up with interventions where these parents are empowered, because if they are not empowered, then they will not be able to take good care of these kids. Why am I saying that? There are these other things that are happening. They make parents with albinism with children with albinism to engage on extra responsibilities, which often limits their participation in economic activities. I'll give you an example where you can imagine where a child with albinism, because of the killings, he or she is always afraid of going to school alone. Some parents are taking initiatives to always take this child to school, wait for him or her to knock off, and then take him back to school, back home. Then you can imagine, will this parent have time to go to the farm? Will this parent have time to do business? So I think one issue that we can also do to make sure that these children are able to grow up, be supported, is to empower parents or guardians of persons with albinism or children with albinism.
All right, Maynard. So we are winding up our discussion. Without going into operational details, recent cases related to attacks and disturbances of graves have caused concern, quite frankly. How has APAM responded, and what patterns worry you the most?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's indeed true. I think the patterns, just to give a background, we had the one colleague who missed in August 2025 in Sanje. Up to now, we don't know his whereabouts. And then we have a young man in Molanje in November. We don't know his whereabouts. Then we had the two cases where people had to, go to the grave and, take away bones of our deceased members. That's in Idoa as well as in Kasungu. So that is in, December and January. Then you can already see the patterns, and you can already see how close we are talking about. August, October, November, December, January. It's really worrisome, and as an association, we have always, issued a public statement on the same. We have conducted, we have conducted the press briefing on the same, and we have also made some, duty bearers to make sure that we are protected. We had a meeting with the officials from Ministry of Gender. We had meetings with the advisor to the president on, good governance, and we also had a meeting with the Inspector General of Malawi Police just to make sure that our members are protected.
I'm of the view that relevant authorities are working day and night in making sure that we end this chaos once and for all. That much I am so confident that they are really working on the ground. But for finality's sake, what concrete measures must be put in place legally, socially, and culturally to end attacks on people with albinism permanently?
Yeah, there are a lot that we can do. One of it is empowering persons with albinism and their families. Yeah, if we empower these people, obviously these things will go. Why am I saying this? I'm an empowered person, you know. I'm an empowered person. I work, I support a family. People look up to me. Meaning to say, this protection will even come from those that are benefiting me, because that are benefiting from me. So if we have a community of persons with albinism that are empowered, I want to assure you, I want to challenge you that these things will automatically go, because most of these viruses are perpetrated by close relatives. So if they know this person, we cannot survive without this person. Obviously, they will make sure that they protect this person. And the other thing is that let us do things together, because yes, sometimes we talk about police not doing enough, but you can agree with me that when people have buried a dead body of a person with albinism at the grave, a police officer is not there. Okay, when who identifies this place to say this place, a person with albinism is lying here, and people do really know and dig that grave without missing, it means something is wrong. What about our culture? You can't just wake up and go to the grave. What chiefs are the custodians of our culture?
Absolutely.
What are they doing about it? So I think we need considered efforts to make sure that these things are brought to an end. And another thing is that investigations might also be very serious. Something has happened, let's investigate, let's bring perpetrators to book, let's give them stiffer punishment. And it's also important that we also make sure that whatever is happening around us, let's report them to the relevant authorities in good time, because sometimes we are also having challenges where people are not reporting cases in good time, so they are also affecting investigations and courses of action.
And finally, the very final question, I want you to share with us your final reflections for parents raising children with albinism today. What message do you want them to hear from you? And not just parents, you can also tailor the message to young people that look up to you, look up to the young Muhambas, look up to the Ian Simbodas as their role models in the society. I would want you to talk to them face to face by facing the camera, speak to them a word of encouragement, and of course, say something that you would want parents with kids living with albinism should hear from you.
Yeah, for parents, be proud. Be proud because you have given birth to a child with albinism. We are not many in the country, and there are not many in your family. You might have 4 kids with one with albinism. What does it mean? It means that you have red rose flowers and one which is a yellow, rose flower. So the yellow will will look more brighter because it is the only one amongst the other flowers. So be happy, be proud that you have given birth to a child with albinism. Love him, love her, support her. She will one day be the member of parliament. He will one day be a minister because we are very capable. So as parents, don't get discouraged. There are people out there who have achieved quite a lot. Your child will also achieve and will make you proud. So love and support him. To young people with the albinism.
Yeah, now face them face to face.
Okay.
Yes.
To young people with albinism, you are, a source of pride to our country. Most of you are doing quite great. Most of you are doing a lot, and you are intelligent people. If you go to Chancellor College today, there are over 8 persons with albinism who are there. So you are intelligent people. Be responsible. You can always do whatever it takes, but don't do things that will take away your life, that will take away your responsibilities, and that will take away, the opportunities that you have. So much as you are a person with albinism, I know you are entitled to rights, but you should also know that you are also responsible. So enjoy your rights responsibly. Make sure you take care of yourself, be responsible, and respect other people.
So, Maynard, it's been a pleasure hosting you inside Face to Face Podcast. It was a compelling conversation, and I just felt like we should keep the conversation, rolling and rolling. But conversations like these, they are posted online and they are supposed to be aired within a certain time frame. But there's always next time. There are always more issues to talk about. Albinism. There are a lot of interesting topics that we can, center our discussions on.
I'm so happy. And you have really practiced inclusivity for inviting me. I'm so happy, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a close. That's how we have concluded today's edition of our Face2Face Podcast. My name is Victor DAFFRECE, and I had with me Maynard Zakaria, who is the National Coordinator for APAM, and he also serves as a civil servant. He's a double-edged sword, I trust. So thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.